Everybody has an opinion on this. Single action only guys say striker shooters are leaving performance on the table. Striker guys say single action is a solution looking for a problem, and the double action single action crowd think you're both wrong. So I shoot all three, and I'm settling it today with a shot timer, or at least attempting to. I'm taking what I consider the best gun in each category and putting them to the test: the Glock 17 Gen 6, the CZ Shadow 2, and the Kimber 2k11 target. First, I can already tell some of you are gonna ask what makes these guns the best in their category, so I kind of have to defend my choices just a little bit, and picking anything as best really is sort of an absurd thing, because depending on what you prioritize, whether it's cost, performance, if it's aesthetics, everybody's gonna have a different formula on what they come up with as the best. So these were just the ones that I came up with. And my criteria was picking a performance shooting gun, not necessarily home defense or duty, and certainly not concealed carry. Again, that changes the calculation for everything. I picked the Glock 17 Gen 6 because it just stood out in memory when I was thinking, what gun do I like the best in the striker category? I've got the steel frame guns, I've got all those other guns, but this was the gun that came to mind first when I thought of a striker gun, because the Gen 6, in my opinion, has leveled up what a Glock is and can be, so it was top of mind when I was trying to pick a gun. I've got reviews on all these guns. You can check out my reasoning for why if you watch those videos. Now, single action only guns, it's going to be a 2011, and that's because I feel like they shoot the nicest of the single action guns that I have anyway. All of the 2011s shoot pretty much the same once you get above a certain kind of quality threshold, which the Kimber climbs above. The Kimber is my competition gun, so it's readily at hand, and I just love the way it looks. Like, that copper color is just absolutely gorgeous. So the Kimber will be representing the single action only crowd, and on the double single front, I picked this not necessarily because it's my favorite, but because it is the most commonly available on the range, it feels like, when I go shoot matches. Shadow 2s are in everybody's holsters, so rather than the Tanfo Stockmaster Extreme that I wanted to bring, I picked the Shadow 2 for relatability, just because the consensus is this is the best one, although I don't necessarily agree. Now, obviously, take all the performance stuff with a grain of salt, because fluency is going to affect my results, and I am very fluent on a 2011 and not on the other two. The grip angle on the Glock is totally different, and the Glock is approximately half the weight. Now, it is worth saying right now that the weight and the ergonomics of the pistol affect how they shoot way more than trigger. Like, trigger's very low down on the list of concerns with how a gun shoots. The grip, how it fits your hand, and how you're able to make your support hand stay married to the gun matter way more than pretty much any other factor. I really wish the internet would get past triggers. We've proved this in the world of sport, USPSA specifically, that basically any gun can win. It's the person behind the gun that really matters, and the triggers really don't matter all that much. And to that point, none of these guns have modified triggers. They are exactly as they showed up from the factory. If I were to rate the triggers, I would say that the 2K has the best trigger, followed by the Glock, honestly, and then the Shadow 2. The Shadow 2 trigger is not so much the quality of the pull, it's the shape of the trigger shoe that I don't like, with the kind of hooked trigger. And again, that's an ergonomic choice, not a, oh, it's like a glass rod breaking thing. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox there. And real quickly, a shout out to my Patreon supporters. Once a quarter, I'll open up a topic asking what videos they'd like to see. They then vote on it, and I make the video. This was their choice, so big shout out to the patrons. You guys are awesome, and let's get into it. So how are we evaluating the guns? Well, we're gonna use basically 4 different drills to shoot them. First is a bill drill at 7 yards, and then at 25 yards. And then I set up a sample stage, which will be scored in the USPSA manner, which is there are 3 scoring zones on each target: Alpha, Charlie, and Delta. Alphas are 5, Charlies are 3, and Deltas are 1 point a miss. And there will be misses, because all the runs you'll see in this video are cold runs. There are no reshoots. Well, there's one, but that's comedy. I'll show you that one. But what you see is what you get, and it's not affecting the scores. I'm not trying to maximize the points, trying to steer to one gun or another. So the scores are points divided by time. We have a 7-yard bill drill that we're gonna take a look at here, just from the low ready, pointing at the bottom of the targets. We'll go with the 2K11 first, since it's got home field advantage. All right, I forgot I was shooting 6 times, so that's not the best. So that's a 166. Splits are typically 18 to 20. The last split was a 24, so 500's penalty there. That's using all of the A zone. That's a 155. So you can see that that single action only trigger, I mean, I'm still splitting like 18s, 19s, but I got the gun up a little bit quicker, but the shots aren't as close together. All right, there was a bit of a lag getting to the second shot, transitioning from double to single, and I think I actually threw a delta. Not sure, I think that might have been the double pull, but that's a 163. The times are all very similar, but you kind of get the feeling. So navigating that transition from double to single is a skill you have to develop on the double single guns, but you can absolutely manage it, and then it becomes your most accurate shot. Usually I'm not fluent on them currently. The scores after one round has the Glock out front, followed by the Kimber, and then the Shadow. At 25 yards, maybe we'll start to see a difference on time based around weight and trigger style. We'll do the 2k11 first from the low ready. All right, I'm calling 5 Alpha, 1 Charlie, can't see from here, but I'm sure you guys will be able to tell what it is. Time on the 2k11 was a 291. That's a 3-second bill drill. The hits all look pretty good on that as well. Double action for Mr. CZ. That's a 317, so a little bit slower on the CZ. I was a little less certain of what I was getting at, but that's something that you can train away if you're fluent on the double single platform. There should be no difference in any of the guns, but 2 Alpha, 3 Charlie, and I have a mic on there. I'm not real sure where it is. It could be one of these in the stick or could have gone over the top. It looks good on the sight, not sure where that went. 25 yards is what's really going to separate the men from the boys as far as performance is concerned. Second round is claimed by the Kimber, followed by the Glock, then the CZ. So behind me, I have set up a small stage. There's a start cone right here, and there are 2 paper, 1 steel in each position. I've got a left position, center position, and a right position. Because there's a maximum of 15 shots required, there's a total score of 75 points available for a win. We're gonna run it twice with each gun, and I'm gonna have to reload off that barrel just to show kind of how the guns are situated as far as reloading. 2011 is gonna have a big advantage in that because it's a big old hole in the grip, but we'll kind of see what happens. Bit of a hang up there on the reload getting onto the mag button. That was a pretty clean run with the Kimber, but I can't really shift the gun to get onto the mag button. That is a shortfall of the 2011 platform, as the grips are just very, very big, and the distance from your thumb to the mag button is very long. It's the longest of the ones, and see, I can't even reach the mag button without shifting the gun in my grip, and I couldn't get it to shift on the stage, so I've ordered a mag button that should help in my competitive shooting. That sucks. Couldn't get the dot to come down on the seal. 1244. The Glock can do much, much better than that. I don't have a magazine. That went well. That was a 970. The Shadow unfortunately got penalized with a mic on the middle target because I broke down. Uh-oh. I shifted my focus from the shooting in the middle position on the back target down to the reload on the barrel, and you can see that as my eyes leave kind of the center of the target as the shot breaks, the shot comes down high, and as a result there's a miss there. If I had good visual patience and kept the CZ on target, it would have won the round by about a 10% margin. There are the standings after the first run of the stage. Again with the delay on dropping the mag. I need to get that mag butt sorted out. So 998. Just getting checkered flag syndrome there. That last steel, that's a 987, still fast, still very fast. And the Glock's run, despite feeling awesome in the time, had a mystery mic. Uh-oh. This is a lightweight gun, and it is easy to over transition and just muscle the gun too much, which is exactly what I did. You can see as I swing off the steel, I swing past the target, overcorrect to the right, past the target again, break a shot into the berm, and then draw the gun back onto the target with that Charlie. That said, even with the makeup on steel, the Glock put down the fastest raw time, which honestly, I really liked how the gun shot. I think the Glock is awesome. That felt pretty good. That was a 10:27. Wow, I wonder where the time is. CZ felt like I put up a good time till I looked at the timer and saw that it was the slowest of the bunch on that. Hits were excellent with the CZ, and I couldn't really figure it out, so I overlaid the 2 stage runs. Now, I want to warn you, some of you are going to feel like you're a little bit drunk with the ghost run. But you can see that the Kimber is just a little bit quicker in each position, and that's entirely due to how I'm running the Kimber. I'm just confident on how to drive the gun, and it shows, you can see there. But the times are very close. So at the end of the stage shooting, the Kimber simply adds to its lead. Now the results are exactly what you'd expect to happen. The gun I'm most familiar with was the gun that won, but not necessarily in every single category as one might think. At 7 yards, they were basically the same. There was really no difference. At 25 yards, you see that that's where the fluency with the pistol really started to show up. And then in the stage times, again, because of the varied nature of the shooting, the targets were at about 8 to 17 yards. The far paper was about 17 yards away. The steel was somewhere in the middle at about 12 to 13 yards. And the gun I was most familiar with ultimately carried the day. But where does my opinion fall on the guns? Now, obviously, my opinion in the #1 slot is the gun I have chosen to compete with, is the Kimber 2k11. I think that the 2011 is the nicest shooting platform you can get. It's super customizable if you want to do aftermarket stuff. I haven't really done anything to this one, but there's a ton of options available to you for a high round count burn gun. Just the Kimber is a really good spot in the market as far as, like, it doesn't take a ton of maintenance. It's almost like striker level as far as just adding oil to it a little bit and the gun will keep running. My practice gun has over 3,000 rounds on it without cleaning it. So it's just a really awesome sweet spot, but it doesn't dump a ton of energy. They're super accurate pistols. Really fine shooting gun. The #2 spot is actually the Glock. I like the Glock a lot, like a whole lot. When I started shooting carry optics in USPSA back in like 2018, I had a Glock 17 Gen 4 MOS, and the Glock Gen 6, in my opinion, just evolves what the Glock was then to what it is now. I really like how positive the trigger reset is on it. My issue with shooting fast is that I don't come off the trigger fast enough, and the forceful reset of the Glock kind of assists me in that. So despite having a longer length of travel through the trigger pull, I still shoot the Glock about as fast as I can shoot a 2011. If you consider cost, the 2K11, these sell for about $2,000, $2,000, $2,100 on the streets, what I'm seeing these at right now. The Shadow 2 optics ready that you see here is $1,300 to $1,400. The Glock is only $620 for what it sells for, which is a heck of a price. Really, really good value there. And bringing up the rear in third place is the Shadow 2, and it's not to do with the action or anything like that. It has everything to do with how the gun is situated. It's just got way too much weight in the front. I don't know if you've ever grilled hot dogs over a campfire, but you have a hot dog on a stick and, you know, sometimes you get bored, so you kind of like bounce the hot dog on the stick. That's what it feels like shooting a Shadow 2. The gun is also more fatiguing to shoot than the other two because it weighs the most and all the weight is at the dust cover. When it lifts in recoil, it flops back down and you're having to fight the gun to kind of, you know, not let it sink too low. If I was more fluent on the pistol and was returning the gun correctly, that wouldn't be an issue, but I'm not. So it just felt like it was taking a lot more out of my wrist to try and stabilize the gun. And the hooked trigger profile of the Shadow 2, again, I don't love that. You can see in sort of the B-roll shooting I was doing at the end of the day, where just the hooked trigger, when I was doing like 3 per target, I'm not used to a hooked trigger. I don't prefer the hooked trigger. The Shadow 2, I just think is a very heavy gun that it's just, I don't know. It's very easy to shoot like one-shot accuracy with, so it's easy to fall in love with at the range because like the ergonomics of like the beaver tail and how the gun seats in your hand is brilliant. I just prefer the way the other guns shoot more. And I mean, the lightest weight gun, I still prefer by a pretty good margin how it shoots to the Shadow 2. So there's that. Now, obviously, this is all performance related stuff. Let me know in the comments where you would rank these guns in your opinion, or if you think I left something out, let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.